Hello people, my name is Ben, and it's day 3 of the Steam Autumn Sale. Let's carry this thing on, starting off with The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, available at 50% off for $29.99, £17.49, or €24.99, or 29 Aussie dollars 99. So that's 50% off, and by now you've probably already got Skyrim. If you haven't, then now's the time to pick it up, I guess. It's 50% off. It's probably as cheap as it's going to get. There's not much you can really say about Skyrim that hasn't already been said in the billions of unnecessary YouTube videos that have been made about it. It's huge and kind of meaningless, as in what you do doesn't change the game, and that's my main complaint with Skyrim, is that even though it's huge and there's a lot of detail in a lot of different things, which makes for some great just player-made stories just because of what the game has, but nothing you actually do really changes. It's not like, hey, I did this and this thing completely changed, or I got this line of dialogue. It's not really that sort of thing. It's more like, I got this glitch or whatever and it was hilarious, or I discovered this brand new place and I got screwed over but I managed to escape. Stuff like that. That's more of this type of stories that you'll get, rather than, hey, I killed a dragon and everyone noticed, which is something that you would think would be simple, but isn't really in the game that much, apart from just after you beat the dragon, because there'll still be the dragon skeleton just there in the middle of the town. Nobody recognizes you anymore for some inexplicable reason. Yeah, no, they're great. There's a crap ton of content, and I believe the DLC is also on sale, is it? Yes it is. Both Hearthfire, in other words Skyrim Sims 3 edition, and Dawnguard are also 50% off, so that's recommended as well, I suppose, if you're really into Skyrim at least. Dawnguard was fairly awesome, but Hearthfire, if you want to have a pointless house with some pointless children that you adopt, you can't make them yourself, how dare you. You gotta adopt the poor little orphans and then defend your house and stuff. It is a cool little thing. It's rather cheap now as well. It also has Steam Workshop support, so the game can just go on forever and ever and ever. Not that you'd really want it to, because I got quite bored of it, mainly due to the combat system. It's the whole world not changing and the combat system that are the two main things that need to change. Graphically, it's really good, apart from the UI, which on PC is kind of crappy, but you just get the Sky UI mod, and it improves everything, which is wonderful, and it's great that they support mods in such a huge way with the Steam Workshop. There just wasn't enough to the world, and I didn't care about any of the characters. Voice acting, and facial animations. What facial animations? Yeah, there was nothing. There was no emotion, no really interesting stories, apart from a few supernatural ones, but that was about it. So Skyrim, get it if you're sort of interested, and you want something that's going to last you a long time. Doesn't have a great combat system, just going to warn you, it has quite a few other problems that I probably haven't mentioned because it's a huge game. It's got probably a lot of pros that I haven't mentioned as well, but that's just what comes with the territory of talking about such a huge thing such as Skyrim. Next we come on to War of the Roses, available at 50% off at $14.99, £12.49, €14.99, or 14 Aussie dollars 99. Europeans getting a little bit ripped off there, as usual, honestly, which is a shame. But War of the Roses is surprisingly cheap for this early on in its lifespan. It only came out at the start of October, and now it's already 50% off. So if you've been interested in it, then now's the time to get it, of course. It's probably not going to be seen this cheap until the winter sale, as many of these games will probably be on sale again. Maybe for even cheaper, so if you think you can hold yourself off, then sure. This includes the Deluxe Edition 4-pack and the Deluxe Edition 4-pack as well, all at 50% off. The Deluxe Edition has House of Lancaster DLC, should say, with the golden lion charge, plate stuff, royal helm, black iron oxide, Castellan sword. It's insane. There's an insane amount of detail. Also the soundtrack. There's a crazy amount of detail in terms of the armor, and I believe they're all historically accurate. They've done a hell of a lot of research. It's definitely one of the biggest games that... what is their name now? What are their names? Paradox Interactive has published. It was very ambitious, looks beautiful, plays awkwardly, takes a while to get into. Everything has to be very precise. Hitboxes are tiny. You have to be really precise. You can hit someone's finger, for example. Yes, just one of their fingers with like a bow or whatever. So it's quite interesting. Combat, not necessarily fast-paced because of the medieval times that it's set in. Like, if you wield a crossbow, it's going to take a hell of a long time to reload. You don't just slot a new arrow in, you slot it in, you wind it up, and then you shoot. But it is an instant death, I think, at least if you get a headshot with it. So that's sort of like the sniper of that game. It's not bad at all, honestly, especially at this price. I definitely recommend trying it out if you're interested in medieval things, because it's very accurate to that sort of time period. The maps are huge and expansive, and I believe it's 64, so 32v32. It's quite large. It's like Battlefield if it was set in medieval times, and even more realistic. However, you've got to consider Chivalry, the other game that came out at roughly the same time as this. Is that going to be on sale? Probably. It is already on sale at the moment. Chivalry Medieval Warfare, that is, for 33% off. However, I will reiterate, wait until it's on the daily deals, and if it's not, then buy it on the last day of the sale. But at the moment that's 33% off, and that brings it down to roughly the same price as it, and it might get even cheaper. So definitely consider that game, because Chivalry has a more improved combat system, I'd say. Bows aren't necessarily as good as it, but it seems more fun to play, definitely, with the gameplay mechanics that it has. Keep that in mind, because you might regret your purchase decision. Total Biscuit has an incredibly detailed video comparing the two games. I forget what the specific thing is called, but just search up like Chivalry Medieval Warfare or whatever, it'll be in his list. And that was extremely good, and will probably help you make the decision of which one you would prefer. Next is Saints Row the Third for 75% off yet again. $9.99, £7.49, €7.49, or $9 Aussie 99. Not bad at all, of course, because it's been on sale multiple times. I'm not sure if it's ever been this cheap. It probably has, right? Probably. But it's Saints Row. It's ridiculous and insane and crazy over the top action, open world, fantastical stuff. At some parts it seems like it's trying too hard to be over the top, rather than just little subtle things. Nothing is subtle. Sometimes it does feel like it's trying too hard, but not too much that it gets completely annoying. It's ridiculous, it's dumb, but it's fun as hell. You can mess around. If you just want an open world game that lets you mess around with the tools that it gives you, and a ridiculous amount of customization that's almost unparalleled, I've not seen anything quite like it, then this is definitely the game for you. It's way less serious than at least the new GTA games, and it is pretty fantastic, especially if you want to play it with a friend, because it's got some excellent co-op in there, which will make the game all that more fun. It's awesome. It's just crazy freaking action, and that also includes all the DLC at 75% off. You could get the game and all the DLC for 75% off, and you'd save a bunch of money for that. So if you're interested in this type of open world game compared to yesterday's and keep in mind that's still going on, Sleeping Dogs, then definitely check this one out if you've not already, which would be pretty crazy of you. Plus, THQ kind of needs some help financially, so any help for them, because they publish pretty great games, but they've not been doing so well, which is unfortunate. They would probably be grateful for that, and you'd get a great game out of it, because it is pretty fantastic. It was one of the most fun games I had played last year. Next is Transformers Fall of Cybertron, pretty much improved on War of Cybertron in every single way. It's 50% off, $29.99, £14.99, €24.99, a little bit of a rip-off, or 24 Aussie dollars 99, which actually the Australians do get a great deal there, almost the best, the Australians and the UK. Pretty damn good, especially for a game that only came out back in August and is a full-on AAA title with quite a lot of content. This also includes all of the DLC, which is kind of annoying that it was day one stuff and it was just like buying the pre-order exclusives. Some of that was a little bit money grubbing, but you can't really expect much when it is published by Activision. However, the game itself is freaking awesome, especially if you're a huge Transformers fan. Incredibly impressive voice acting from this game. It is just insanely good, and I believe that most characters reprise their roles. I think. I'm not a huge Transformers fan, so don't quote me on that. But graphically, audioly, it's amazing. It is simply fantastic, and some of the most fun you can really have as a Transformers fan. It stays true to a lot of things, so I've heard, and it's just a ton of fun to play. It's a third-person combat game with guns and stuff. Think of Gears of War if you couldn't really get into cover. You have a sort of thing where you can switch which arm you use for the gun, which gives you a slight advantage out of cover, but you don't have an actual cover mechanic, which makes it more fun in my opinion, because it means you always have to be moving around. You can change into your other form, which is usually a vehicle of some kind at any time, which is actually really awesome because they usually come with different guns equipped. It's very mobile, very action-packed, as you would expect, because it's Transformers. Really interesting and engaging story, good pacing, doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's got a pretty good multiplayer to boot, so that is fairly awesome. I believe the multiplayer has kill streaks, or did they remove those? I'm not too sure. If you're a Transformers fan, definitely consider this, but if you're not, then maybe wait for it to go down in price a bit more on the winter sale, possibly, because I know for a fact there won't be that many people playing it on multiplayer, so maybe the longevity isn't too high. They'll probably be playing it now that the sale is on, but after it, probably not for too long. However, it's pretty awesome, 50% off. Next we come to Crysis 2 Maximum Edition, which is the maximum Crysis in your Crysis 2s, available for $11.99, £7.49, ooh, €10.49, that's kind of a little bit of a rip-off, or 11 Aussie dollars 99. It's pretty good. It's Crysis 2. It's really good, in fact. I enjoyed it, at least. A lot of people didn't, because there wasn't as much freedom. It goes about it in different way than Crysis 1. Crysis 1 is also 70% off as well. You can get both of them, and Crysis Warhead for 70% off in the Crysis collection, which you may want to consider, especially if you don't have the original. I'd just say get the entire collection, because it's kind of fantastic. Crysis 1 and Crysis 2. So in Crysis 1, it's a first-person shooter, but it basically just puts you on an island, says there's your objective, go around the island, there's like secrets, huge weapons, different vehicles that you can find to help you get to that objective and go about it in any way you see fit. In Crysis 2, it was slightly more linear, saying there's your objective, Here are a few paths you can take. This is your little area of play. Do you want to just go in guns blazing because, hey, there's a minigun thing, a turret that's locked on, but you can also take it off, so you could take that, shoot everybody in the face, or do you want to be all stealthy and like go for sort of melee kills, sniping, suppressed shots, stuff like that. It was extremely good in my opinion. I really enjoyed it because the combat felt really fun. FPS, in terms of FPS, the gun handling and everything was excellent. Same goes for Crysis 1, but even with the lack of freedom in Crysis 2, in terms of not being on a huge open island, I still found the whole destroyed New York place really interesting environment to go around in. Not quite as interesting as a massive island jungle thing, however, it was still fairly awesome. So if you haven't already picked up Crysis 1 or 2, get them both. And lastly, we come to Farming Simulator 2013. Already at the low price of 50% off. That's $14.99, £9.99, €12.49, or 14 Aussie dollars 99. It's Farming Simulator. You get to simulate farms in the year 2013. I did a video on this. I did Farming Simulator 2013 in a nutshell, which was the first of that series. Considering there's only two, that's not really a difficult thing to be, but never mind. It's 50% off, and yeah, okay, it's cheaper than I thought it would be because I thought they brought this out at £30, not 20. So did they like reduce the price that quickly and screw over their loyal fans if they have those? The people that pre-ordered for the Lamborghini tractor? Yeah, there's not much to say about this. It's a thing. Does it have Steam Workshop? No, it does not, but it does have modding tools. You have to buy the, oh no, modding tutorials. You have to buy the modding tutorials, but there are modding tools. Metacritic score 69. Nice. And it's also got multiplayer and co-op. I don't know why they separate those. Is there a versus multiplayer where you compete your farms? I like how in the reviews the best one they could get was from IGN. There's something intangible that keeps me coming back for more. 7.1 out of 10. Okay, that was a bit of a downer, just like yesterday really, except this is it's farming. If you've got a friend to screw around with, or you want to make some possibly hilarious videos, then you could do it. Then this is the cheapest you're gonna get. So have fun. It's Farming Simulator 2013. It's a thing, yes. Keep in mind that the sales from yesterday are still up and running, so definitely check those out. Check out the video for yesterday if you missed it and you are interested in what ones I recommend on there and for what reasons. By the way, there is an indie games section with some featured indie games. However, I can confirm that the featured games doesn't mean the daily deals. It just means these are the ones we're featuring for today. They are actually that price throughout the entire sale, but we are featuring them for today. Such as today, there's stuff like the Amazing Machinarium or Machinarium, They Bleed Pixels, which is awesome, Dust Force, another awesome game, Defense Grid The Awakening, one of the best tower defense games I've played, wonderful puzzle game Cogs, Stacking, fairly awesome Double Fine game, Rochard, really cool puzzle platformer, voiced by the guy that did Duke Nukem, which is pretty awesome. So that's my like quick blast through those, I suppose. But just to point that out, that's why I'm not doing a huge section on those, because they aren't actually daily deals, quote unquote, and that is why some indie games are in the actual daily deals, because they are actually discounted more. So just because they are on the featured things doesn't mean you should necessarily get them, because they may be in the daily deals. However, some small things like Dust Force, and Rose Shard I doubt would be in the limited, 6-slot daily deal spot. Hope you're all enjoying this. I'll see you guys tomorrow.